Welcome to Coffee and Commercial, your source for positive, caffeinated information, inspiration, and motivation. As you can see, we've got a full house today. I've got some amazing guys that are doing great things in the commercial space. Wanted to start off with introducing Ahmed Seirafi. He's the principal of Andalusia Development Company. He oversees all aspects of acquisition, disposition, and development processes for Andalusia Development Company. He has led all facets of the business, spanning more than $100 million in commercial assets, primarily in multifamily and commercial. That's fantastic. Ahmed has also led Andalusia Development Company in the execution of several development opportunities in its first few years of existence and has been instrumental in growing the development pipeline by 300% to over $400 million. With his expertise and experience, he has consolidated and focused the firm's strategy to the acquisition of value add and development opportunities, where value can be created through new construction, extensive renovations, hands-on management, and improvement of operating efficiencies. Ahmed's previous experience comes from his time as a senior associate at CB Richard Ellis, as well as leading several projects as VP of Operations at a large commercial contracting company, specializing in civic development endeavors. Thank you, Ahmed, for being here.
Thank you.
Next to him, we have Mr. Kris Foster. We have the pleasure of introducing Kris. He's the principal owner of the Foster Company. Kris holds a bachelor's degree in finance from Humboldt State University. He has two daughters, the ages of 16 and 20 years old. His oldest daughter attends Gonzaga University, while his youngest daughter attends Ramona Convent Secondary School. The Foster Company is a full-service commercial real estate finance company located in Whittier, California, and has been open since June of 2000. They provide financing for all assets in the commercial real estate arena. Kris has a deep passion for working with small businesses to ensure they can position themselves to create generational wealth by purchasing commercial real estate through the SBA loan programs. Kris's focus in 2023 is to get as many residential real estate agents and residential loan officers trained and geared up so they can add commercial real estate to their everyday practice. Let's welcome Kris Foster, a.k.a. the SBA guru.
Yes, sir. Let's
with
go.
the Foster Company.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
And last but not least, we have Mr. Willy Escobar. Willy has been a leader in the mortgage industry for the last 22 years, recently getting into the commercial real estate industry with the Elite Mortgage Group. They do residential and commercial. Willy and his team of mortgage professionals now offer commercial lending and have partnered with the Foster Group, myself, and Carlos Asensio to educate business owners on how to acquire commercial real estate. Willy and Elite Mortgage Group are excited to now be offering residential and commercial lending. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So, guys.
Social influencer over there.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
trying to one day.
So really, Willy is one of those guys that you'd be surprised at how many people he knows.
Unbelievable.
So you go to an event and you're like, Willy knows this person and that person, and he's the guy who knows the guy. So, in fact, everyone at this table got connected from Mr. Willy over here. So we appreciate you.
Interesting. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
We call him in our office the Great Connector.
The Great Connector.
Everywhere we go, he's somehow connected in that sphere, you know. So
somehow, man, through social media, it's just amazing how I met Ahmed at an event in what was that, Orange County?
There's probably one in Orange County, one or two of them in Orange County. Yeah.
We somehow connected, and then Kris, I met you through
your team.
Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
I met you through Carlos from years ago, and somehow I guess through social media, people start keeping in touch, and it's like you see someone after years, and it's like you haven't missed a beat.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Shout out to Carlos, who wasn't able to be with us today, but we'll hold it down and make it a good podcast.
Yep.
So I wanted to jump in and kind of start the conversation with kind of you guys talking about your backgrounds and what got you into commercial real estate. And then also, Willy, I want you to bring in the background of the residential that you've been doing. But let's start off with Ahmed, kind of give you a chance to talk about your background and what got you into commercial real estate.
Well, the 30-second version is like this. I was expected to just kind of continue into the family business. You know, my father had gas stations. I pumped gas through college. It took me 7 years to get through. I think it's almost 8 years to get through college, because I was working 60 hours a week pumping gas. You know what I mean? 7 days a week, I was waking up at 5 a.m. just to go work in the gas station. That didn't quite work out, and towards the end of my education, I had a really good professor, good friend of mine, who steered me towards commercial brokerage. So I got a job with CB Richard Ellis, CBRE, if you, as you know him today. And it took me about 3 months and about 14 interviews to get into the company, because they weren't hiring yet, but they wanted me. So they kept stringing me along with interview after interview. So I had 3 months of interviews, and finally I got in. Did a number of years with them. Did a number of years on my own after that. And because I liked, the real estate construction development business, I got a job managing the project management team at a large commercial contractor, and I would be the one who would go in and fix projects when they'd be falling apart. So they're going over budget, they're going over time, they're going over schedules, et cetera, they'd say, okay, we need your help, you need to go in there and kind of clean this up. And I was really good at putting things together. I love playing in the dirt. I love Legos. I love just creating things and putting it together. That's my passion. And along the way, I've been investing and developing ever since, and now have come full circle and just focus directly on the investment and development side of commercial real estate, and specifically small to medium-sized industrial buildings, as well as large-scale multifamily, and everything else I stay away from, not because I don't like it, but because I just really want to focus on my product type.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kris.
Yeah, so right out of college, I thought I was going to grow through the corporate ladder. I studied finance. I wanted to grow through the corporate finance ladder. Went to work for corporate America, and within 2 years, I got fired. And within those 2 years, my ex-partner, my ex-wife at the time, obviously got pregnant, and her big thing was she's an accounting major and she's CPA. And she said, look, I'm not staying home. When we have kids, I'm going to work. I want to grow. And she had the kid, and 3 months later, she's like, see you later. So I was at home. I was a full-time stay-at-home dad. And if you know me, I've got a ton of energy, and I went crazy very quickly. One of the hardest things I've ever done was raise children. I was going crazy at home. I said, well, what can I do? I just bought a house. I reached out to the broker who represented us, and I said, hey, what's going on with the real estate game? Can I get in? He said, yeah, get your license. So I got my real estate license, and I learned very quickly that residential real estate was not for me. I wasn't going to be holding open houses. I just wasn't going to do it. And I wanted something to challenge me, and I didn't think the residential side was able to challenge me at all. And so I had a friend by the name of Oscar Chacon who wanted to open a commercial finance company, Funding Source, in Monterey Park, California. And we opened it and developed it. And, 23 years later now, we focus strictly on, commercial real estate finance. Obviously, the SBA is our bread and butter. 70% of our business is done in the SBA arena. But that's how I got into, what I do today.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Willie?
All right. So been a residential lender, but now getting into commercial.
Yeah.
So residential for 22 years. Man, I love residential lending. I can kind of do it with my eyes closed, probably just like Kris and what you guys do now. But recently met Kris, and I was like, I've been hearing about commercial for a long time, and it's one of those things where until you actually put your hands on it, you realize this isn't that bad. Yeah, so we started, Kris has been kind enough to give me some training. Now we have some deals going. So my goal is to, of course, still keep serving our real estate community with residential lending. But for those that want to venture into commercial, we're going to be offering that as well. Because one thing I've been noticing is that there's a huge underserved population, whether it's minority or not. A lot of people don't know that it's actually easier than they think to get into a commercial building. Like my knowledge, being, doing this for 22 years, my knowledge was got to go in with 35%. That was the thing. people would ask me, so what's it take? I don't know, 35, 40%, man. Oh, what? We can't do it. But now I'm figuring out, man, we can do cross collateralization, 10% down only. Paperwork doesn't have to be perfect. We'll work with them. So it has me really excited. I mean, I love residential, but commercial is now that's going to be my next passion. You know what I mean? Residential has been my passion for a long time. Yeah. I'm going to keep doing it. But now commercial, that's the next challenge. And I think that's what has me excited, because I think as business owners that we have to figure out, okay, so what's next for me? What's going to keep that blood flowing and you know, getting excited about things? So now learning the commercial area, now that's going to be my next baby, and partnering up with Kris and you guys, and good stuff.
Well, you hit it right on the head, because I think as we know Willy as the great connector, right?
Yeah.
His roots run so deep in the residential. You meet people all over, residential realtors, and they all know him.
Yep.
And now the tools that he is providing to these residential realtors, and also residential loan officers that you've referred, go talk to, we'll help you. But the resources that you're providing and giving them the skill sets to be able to add other revenues, it's unbelievable what you're doing. It really is. And you hear that all the time, we want to go to that event. They want to know more. They want to learn more. And you're providing this to them. Mm-hmm. And so it's a great resource, what you're doing.
But the commercial side is pretty fun, though.
Isn't it?
It's dynamic.
Is it?
Really dynamic. And that's the best part of it.
Yeah. So much to do. There's always something going on. There's so many moving pieces. This guy has put together 3 deals in a week. Yeah. In a week, 3 commercial deals. And like he said, none of the 3 are perfect. Yeah. But we've been able to make them work.
And we're just getting started.
Yeah.
Woo. So
it's
fun.
And I think seeing what's happening in the residential arena, right? Things kind of slowed down, and so people are looking to pivot.
Absolutely.
Well, residential realtors are they don't understand how great of a resource they are to their clients to get into commercial, and whether that's finding land to reposition it for a development deal, or whether it's talking to the business owner that's looking to finally buy a building after leasing for 10 years. Mm-hmm. We just had a situation we dealt with the client. They were leasing a building. The landlord sold the building to a developer who was knocking it down, and they literally knocked down all the other units except for theirs. And so the landlord told them, you got 30 days to be out of this place because we were going to knock it down. So we found them a space within 1 week, got them into escrow, and that transaction's continuing on. But it's one of those things that we position ourselves because we're able to realize the potential of that client to be able to purchase. Mm-hmm. And so looking at what's going on this year in the market, I feel like there's so much opportunity for growth and for residential realtors to kind of add commercial to their toolbox.
Absolutely.
And can you kind of speak to the opportunities that you're seeing this year that's coming up?
I want to hear that.
For sure. I mean, coming from a real estate background, just like yourself and you other gentlemen here, we are trained as real estate professionals to see more than just a deal, and that's what I try to help other people do. Hey, when you're out there driving for dollars, knocking on doors, I want you to look past that, right? I want you to see the other opportunities that present themselves to you that everyone else isn't looking at. Mm-hmm. So if you're out there having a meeting with someone about listing their house, well, why are you not looking at the zoning? Exactly. Why are you not looking at the lot size? Why are you not looking at the changes the city is making in the area? Because that single family home that you're listing for sale could actually be a commercial development opportunity. Right. It could have an R3 zoning or R3 zoning coming up. But if you're not paying attention to some of that, you're missing out on the opportunity of bringing in to yourself more commissions, more opportunities, more deals, more clients, and more technically money in your pocket, because that single family home could turn into a small apartment or townhome development. Right. Now you're getting paid on the sale. Now you're listing it on the back end for sale. Maybe it's an investment. You're getting an investment sale out of it. Maybe it's a small warehouse building that is being built, and now you're the leasing agent on it for the next 10 or 20 years. So there's ultimately many, many ways of making money off of that deal, but you have to see past what you're trained to look at, and you to see into the future about what you can do with it.
Yeah, you hit it. It's funny you say that, because the exercise that you did at the event that Willy had the other day, simple A, B, C made sense for everybody there. It was a great exercise.
So. Thank you.
Yeah, great exercise.
And we'll put it up
Yeah.
with the link with this podcast to get. We went over with the development form, basically how you would pitch a deal to a developer.
Yep.
So for all of you residential realtors out there who are wanting to learn about that, first of all, make sure you come to our next event
Yep.
so you
Right.
can learn. But there's opportunities out there, like you say. And so, Kris, what are you seeing on your end this year, opportunities?
Well, opportunity-wise, no matter what, interest rates they're going to go up. The bonds today, the 2-year bond today is the highest it's ever been since 2007. It hit 5%. The 10 years above 4. So we watch the bonds every day. And I believe at the next Fed meeting, they're going to increase by 0.5 point and probably another 0.5 in May. We are already quoting in the 10% on some of the commercial stuff. That's C paper, and it is what it is. But having said that, looking at all where interest rates are going, I believe there's going to be a lot of opportunities. Opportunities for investors, developers. What we're seeing right now is because rates have risen so quickly, commercial loans run in 3, 5, 7, or 10 years. And people who who refinanced 3 years ago, they got to refinance today. Well, their rate was 2.75. Today it's 8%.
Yeah.
So now, in order for them to get the deal done, they're having to come in with money to close before they would get 2, 3, 400,000. So now you're taking credit, you're taking money out of the market. That affects everything from A to Z. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities. Yes, is there going to be some stress out there in the commercial finance arena? Absolutely, absolutely. We looked at 10 deals last week. We turned down 9 of them. That wasn't happening before. So we're seeing more turn downs. But I see that as an opportunity for your clients, for him, people that he knows. So yeah, there's going to be some stress in the marketplace, but it's something that we just got to deal with. We don't have a crystal ball to figure out how long it's going to be, but we know inflation's not slowing down. And so auto repossessions are up significantly. So you start looking at all the little signs, and all the little signs are there. So that's kind of what I see going on out there right now.
And then, Willy, obviously, as Kris said, you got some deals that you've already now got put together.
Yeah.
What are you seeing with this new emerging market for you in commercial? What is really popping out to you as the opportunity?
I think for me, it's the clients that I'm dealing with right now. They're just your everyday
Good point.
business owners. Some are not business owners, and they happen to be driving by a place. And one of my realtors, because they see me posting, they're like, "Bro, you're doing commercial?" Yeah. So I got to see. I'm like, all right, I don't know exactly how to put it together yet. Let me call my partner, Kris. But I just think like what I'm seeing is commercial is not what I thought it was, which was going to be only for people with money. It's really for your everyday kind of client that might have 10% down.
Yep.
Awesome.
Like the opportunity that I'm seeing is, and that I will be seeing this year is this. That business owner that, let's say, wanted to buy a house with 10% down, that does not qualify because they have a whole bunch of debt or the numbers, they just don't make sense. We could flip them into commercial, right? Because on the commercial end, it's not as, at least what I'm seeing, it's not as strict as residential. It's more based on the property and the cash flow, and does it make sense? Versus residential, 700, 680 credit score, you have a few car payments, you're done.
Yep.
But on the commercial end, it's more of a let's make sense out of it.
So then the question is, what is the amount of people who are getting into commercial loans, whether an investor or owner user, that is doing 10% down versus some of the larger investors who have to put down 25, 35, 40% down? What is the ratio you think that are the small owner users, 10% down, versus the larger, more savvy or more experienced investor?
I believe that, our office only focuses on the owner users. So
Sure.
we're only meeting with small businesses, whether they lease, whether they own. I believe the investors, as rates have increased, I don't know if you've seen it yet with cap rates, but cap rates are probably starting to increase on them, right? Yep. And because rates are increasing at the level they are, where before they had to put down 40%, now they have to put down 50% and 60%. And at what point does it not make sense anymore, right? It's a make sense kind of thing. And so I think the numbers are larger from a owner user, probably 60-40.
Okay.
Yeah.
60-40 is
a lot.
probably more realistic. Yeah.
More than I expected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's been our experience as well, around that 60-40. A lot of our deals are more with the SBA side, clients that are going to use it for owner use. But we are starting to see the developers and the investors coming out. So we had a client that just contacted us 2 days ago about a deal in Palm Springs. They want to buy an office building. They want to buy it all cash to try and negotiate a good deal. And then they'll back out maybe 50% cash out refi on the property. But they're looking at the long-term play. They've been sitting on cash and just looking for the opportunity. So you got to position yourself to know what's out there, so that as these clients start contacting you, you know exactly what they're trying to do, and understanding like what's going on in Palm Springs. If you look on, the 111, super high vacancy rates, and a lot of office spaces available. The more you get up into where the JW is and off of Country Club Drive, now you're where it's far less vacancy. So now people will pay to be in that spot. So understanding what's going on in that local market helps you to do that.
Absolutely. And what we're hearing from the back end bank perspective is they're protected with an SBA loan. They're protected up to 75% of that loan. So if that loan ever defaults, the feds are coming in and paying on the insurance policy versus there's no insurance policy, there's a default, they're taking 100% of it. But we are seeing banks start to scale up their commercial loan workout divisions, which was very little over the last 7 years, and now they're reaching out saying, hey, we're taking originators and we're taking them over to the commercial loan workout department. So that's interesting to see where
We'd
that
rather
goes.
help you out than see you go bankrupt.
Exactly. It's a good point you make. And they'll try,
Yeah.
or they're going to sell your loan.
Sure.
So
From a development perspective, obviously you do some stuff out of state.
Right.
Where are you seeing your ratio of what you're doing in California versus out of state? Where do you see that changing?
I would like to do more out of state, and I'm looking forward and looking into doing that more and more, especially right now, right? As much as I love California, I love living here, I love wanting to own property here, I love everything about it, it is getting very, very hard to either invest or to develop in the state, right? One, because the population is so big here, and the amount of money in California is huge, right? I mean, if you take California and you split it off in the United States, what are we in the top 5 largest economies? So there's so much money here. That means there's so much competition, right? So one, that makes it hard to invest and to develop, right? And then number 2 is the government, the local states and cities. They say we want development, we want tax money, we want density, we want units, we want places for people to live, people to work, etc., right? And I'm like, okay, let me solve that problem for you, but then why do you make it so hard for me? And it's not just like your normal hoops. I'm like, there is like, everybody wants to have a say,
absolutely,
and then they don't want to give you an answer. They just want to push the goalpost down more and more, right? And can you do this? You do this? Do you do this? We go back and we do this. We do this. We do this. And they're like, okay, great, but now can you do this and this and this? Because everybody wants to have a say, but nobody wants to be responsible for something that goes on in their city or their community that other people will be angry for. So if you approve a project and I build it, and somebody gets angry and they go scream at City Hall about it, no one wants to be on that receiving end, right? So they all want to have a say, but nobody wants to be the decision maker and approve something.
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's really, really hard.
Yeah. And then, Willie, what are you seeing with these interactions with the clients? What do you see as something that could be a tip for these business owners who haven't thought about getting into commercial before and buying their own building? Like, what's a tip that you could give them?
I would say go for it. Yeah, I mean, as simple as it sounds, go for it. You would be surprised how easy it is. I think what I've been seeing for years is that a lot of people that are business owners, they just end up leasing their whole life, right? Because it's comfortable. They're paying $1,000, $1,500 for a place that's not theirs. And no one has really approached them about buying. They don't know how accessible it is. I would say go for it. Get with someone that can take a look at, does it make sense for you to own for as little as 10% down, and be open to this idea that most likely you will be paying more money for owning. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Right? Versus leasing. But think about it this way. Okay. And we all hear it. Do you want to keep paying your landlord's mortgage off? Do you want to pay yours off? It's that simple.
Do you think it's a mental block that they just have to get over?
It's a mental block, and a lot of business owners are not, at least in my experience, they're not business savvy.
Okay.
Not even with their own business.
Yeah.
A lot of business owners, you take a look at their P&L, they're like barely making ends meet. One thing I do want to incorporate with what I'm going to do is maybe you and I can, figure this one out, but bring in a little bit of counseling, a little bit of guidance to business owners.
Business coaching, yeah.
Absolutely.
I see it.
Yeah, so not only we're going to help you obtain the property, and let's say you are not ready, but you're going to be ready in 6 months or a year. Let's set you up to win, maybe with some bookkeeping people, with the right tax professionals, because a lot of these people, man, some of them are doing their own taxes. Some of them, go to some of these
H&R Block.
Thank you. I was going to say that, yeah. Or the Liberty Tax, with the guy outside with the dancing and everything. Yeah, they just don't have the right education. So the goal is not only to help the business owners obtain real estate, but also educate them on how to become smarter with their business.
Yeah. Good point. I mean, with the deals you're working on right now, great point.
Yeah.
Just they don't from A to B, they don't know. And you've got one into escrow this week, and they just didn't know. They're in LA.
I have no idea we could put that deal together, man.
It was funny.
Yeah, Kris told me, he's like, yeah, it's looking good. I was like, you're fucking joking. I was like, there's no way.
The difference between a mortgage and a lease is a lot smaller if you take a look at it, but people think it's really huge.
Yeah.
They think it's like, oh my God, I'll be paying 2 or 3 times more. I'm like, no, you may be only paying a small amount more.
Yeah.
They don't understand that.
And I look at financial statements all day long. So I'm a data guy, right? So I'm just like digging these balance sheets, financials, profit and loss. And you're right. What you're right with what you said. We need to figure out what we can do for these businesses and people because they try to. There's these sub economies going on, right? There's a sub economy of a sub economy because of all what he kind of related to in the development side of the red tape and the regulation. And I don't want to pay taxes, and it just you just don't know. So I get these financial statements and think about it that. Whole sub-economy mindset is getting transferred to their kids and then their kids' and it never gets corrected along the way. And so I have this thing in us that we want to do is I want to get into the schools and teach the kids at a younger age, like in the 8th grade, 7th grade, play that cash flow game, right?
Yep.
I see that in the city. Even in the city or city halls, you would not understand how many of those people that work and elected there are not financially savvy.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I'm bringing in massive amounts of taxes to the city for a city that is upside down and in the red. And they don't understand that because they have no financial literacy and they need it. And it starts at the top.
Absolutely.
Starts at the top.
Absolutely. We have a client, a deal that we're working on right now. It was brought by a residential realtor. They needed a $250,000 equipment loan, right? We got their financials and I see their rent payment, $197,000 a year. And so I reached out to the realtor from Century 21. I said, hey, how long have they been here? And they said they've been renting 24 years at $150,000 or higher. Did the calculation for them. I said, hey, they can qualify for up to $3 million. Can we meet with your clients and just present? I brought my SBA 504 team in. We met with them, and they're like, never thought they could. The guy doesn't speak a lick of English, the owner. We could buy a building for $3 million. We got to start looking.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, things like that.
And I think a lot of times people assume that they have a revenue problem, and it's not necessarily a revenue problem. It's just how are you filing? How are you structuring?
Absolutely.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
And then looking at it from the perspective of maybe even your payment might be higher if you go with the purchase, but you've got depreciation, you've got all the different deductions that you can do, and to help offset that. I want to kind of switch gears a little bit.
Yeah.
So one thing with the three of you, I see you guys as very driven individuals. And I've been reading a book by Coach Burt called Flip the Switch, and he talks about a prey drive. And dogs have it. They have a natural prey drive, that they have an instinct that they want to go hunt for something. And following all of you guys on social media and meeting you guys in person, you guys are all very driven. Can you kind of talk about what drives you? And I'll start off with you, Kris.
My children. Well, first and foremost, I'm high strung, high energy. I just want to go. I come from an athletic background from when I was really young. I played sports, didn't have a dad growing up. So the camaraderie that I feel that the camaraderie that I built within my athletic teams, I played all the way to college football. But the camaraderie that I built and wanting to be the best and everything, right? That helps my drive today. My mom used to tell me that I had so much energy when I was young. They would flip the lock to the outside and lock me in the room because I would drive them crazy on how much I would pace around the house. And so no matter what, I have a ton of energy. I see how much everything costs, especially having kids and going to private schools and everything. And that's a driving force behind what I'm doing too. And also creating generational wealth for my children, right? Because I say, I don't know how our kids are going to be able to afford to live where we live for a variety of reasons without some kind of generational wealth. It just doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. And so those are the things that drive us, and help seeing other businesses succeed and seeing them grow up the ladder. It's a big driving force of mine, watching the success of everybody around me.
Awesome. Ahmed, what about you?
Wow. Well, the obvious answer is I want to be rich, right?
Absolutely.
Love it.
But to me, the money comes with the job well done.
That's right.
Right. So I don't focus on the money. I focus on building cool shit. I want stuff out there that when people drive by, they're like, wow, that's nice. That's a place where I want to live. That's a place that I want to buy. That's a place where I want to work. Right. You're in the business. How many times have you seen new projects come out of the ground and they look mediocre?
Yeah.
Right. So if I can build better projects, get the people around me to build better projects. Next thing you know, I build a great project. And then Kris next door, you see it, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to build it better than Ahmed. Right. Then you build a great project, and I'm going to be like, oh, shit, Kris just built a great project. Now I got to do better. Mm-hmm. So what it is we're leveling each other up, right? Yeah. We're not really competing. We're just leveling each other up and like, hey, you can do better. You can do better. You can do better, right? Because I'm tired of seeing mediocre projects that developers and investors and their teams get in. They just want to get it in and get out and make as much money as possible. But they don't understand that if they just spent a little bit more money or a little bit more time or was a little bit more creative and thought about it a little bit more, they could build a better project, a better development. And that's what I want to do. I just want stuff that people see like, wow, that's really great. Someone put the time and effort into it. It's a timeless design. It's a timeless building. And the next thing you know, they're building something like that. And then it forces me to even step it up to another level. And I want to do that because I want cool shit.
I like that.
Yeah.
Willy.
All right. For me, similar to Kris, I grew up without a dad. My dad was in my life till I was 2 or 3, something like that. So I was raised by my mom. I want to be an example for my kids. That's important, right? Generational wealth. Show them the things that are attainable through hard work. So I think that's very important. But also at the end of the day, so my kids and my family are a portion of the equation, right? Like if I would say, like people say, man, I do this for my kids and I want to put food on the table. Man, that shit's cheap. Putting food on the table is cheap. At the end of the day, this might sound egotistical. I want to be the best that I can be. That's it. I want to be 60 years old thinking, man, I did all kinds of cool shit. Yeah. Hung out with great people, made a difference. And for me, I think it, like, what drives me is connecting with great people. That's huge. I was just doing a live on the way over here. That's why I got lost, because I was, driving around. Right? But I was like, man, at the end of the day, don't focus on the money, like Ahmed said. Focus on being the best that you can be. Mm-hmm. Focus on surrounding yourself with great people. And this one right here, I think really has made a difference in my life, is focus on helping other people.
Yeah.
Right. That is huge. If you focus on giving to people, right? Like one day I want people to be like, man, Willy might not be the best mortgage guy out there, the best commercial lender, but a lot of people know who he is. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Right. Because I know that I know when you are more well known, when you market a little bit more, it's going to be easier to attract business and connect with great people. So long story short, why do I do what I do? I just don't want to have regrets one day that I didn't do enough when I think it's very easy nowadays to do a lot.
Yeah.
When you level up, it's easy to bring people with you.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even for me, I came from actually an engineering background. So I actually got my engineering degree from Cal Poly Pomona, come from a background with a family aerospace business. And so the business started growing, started acquiring commercial properties. And so we were dealing with agents that weren't cutting it for us. And so I said, you know what, why don't I get my license and why don't I get into this? And so I started to see an opportunity to really service clients. And I felt a lot of times agents were more interested in just making the sale versus educating us on what was happening. It was more of, hey, this is how much it is. Go ahead and sign here and we'll get this in escrow and close it, instead of explaining what was happening behind the scenes. And so for us as a team, myself and Carlos, why we got into this business was to really add value to these clients and really educate them on what the process is, what it takes to be successful. And we've found that really carry over into educating residential agents on how to get into the commercial process. Instead of stepping on all the landmines that are out there, we want to educate them so they can be successful and add that income that they're supposed to add to their commissions,
The bottom line.
but help service their clients.
Yeah, no, you guys are definitely onto something. Remax Top Producers commercial. You guys are onto something. I mean, he can speak for his background, that he comes from CBRE, but we deal with all the commercial agents out there. They bring us deals to finance, and even as many deals as they bring us, we still feel like we're a number to them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you guys, like we have this like there's
Connection.
There's this connection, and it's important what you guys are putting out there to your clients. We see it firsthand. So you guys are a different breed.
The big commercial companies are slow to adapt and slow to change, and it still happens to this day. You know what I mean? They're dinosaurs. Not to say anything. They're only big because they're big from the beginning.
Yep.
But they're dinosaurs, and if they don't adapt and start acting the way you act and start maneuvering the way you maneuver, they're going to be going out of business real soon.
I think there's a huge two things I want to say. One is there's a huge lack of service in commercial real estate.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but I was looking for a new office. I think it was about 6 months ago. I was driving around looking at offices. I was getting callbacks 2-3 days later.
Yep.
And these guys was like, "Yeah, well, you know, what can I help you with?" I was like, "Bro, like, give me
You're
some
bothering
service."
them, huh?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I felt, I'm sorry. Let me, let me get on my knees and beg to give you some money. But yeah, I think that's number one. So we bring in the service, we bring in the relationships. Talking on you and Carlos, that's what drives me to do business with you guys and you guys as well. It's because of the relationship.
Yeah.
And who you guys are as people, because in this business there is a lack of ethics, a lack of transparency, a lack of relationships.
Totally.
A lot of people have turned so transactional that you literally have to, like, in some cases, you got to be watching your back. Like, you know what, like I kind of don't want to do business with this person, so I'm not going to do business with this person.
That's interesting, because when I got into CB 20 years ago, back in 2009, 99, 2000, I don't want to say, dating myself, the big real estate companies were big because they controlled the information. The big lenders were big because they controlled all the information. In the last 5-10 years, because of the internet, the information's an equal playing field. Right? So the only reasons why they were big is because they controlled the information. Listings, opportunities, financing, things like that, right? Well, now because of the internet, it's a level playing field, and all the small to medium-sized firms, such as yourself, are eating them up because they are not adapting. They are not giving that customer service. They didn't have to give it before. Now they do. They don't know how.
Yeah, it's funny he says that, because I take the big banks. They were our lead sources before, right? But at the level where if you were to walk into a bank today and you need a commercial loan, what he just said, they're dinosaurs.
Good luck.
We'll get someone to call you back.
Yep.
You're lucky they're going to call you. Now, if they call you, we could do the deal. By the time they collect your paperwork, you're 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks out. They haven't adapted. This Ahmed makes an unbelievable point. It's happening all around us. So those are the clients we want. We want to go attack.
You can't even call a big bank and ask for the commercial lending division, because there's no phone number, there's no contact, there's no way to even know who's the commercial lending people are.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got to go into a branch and leave your name and number, and hopefully they call you back. And I dealt with that recently. I'm like, okay, I need to get a construction loan. I know U.S. Bank gives a lot of construction
Absolutely.
loans.
They're big.
I don't have a relationship there, but then I'm going to call them. I called corporate. I called the branch. I called all these different people. I could not get through to a commercial lending person, nor could I get a call back.
It's crazy.
It goes to some generic customer service number. I'm like, okay, I want a 8 and 9 figure loan amount here, and I can't get anyone to call me back, nor can I find someone's phone number to call. Adapt or die.
Adapt
Yeah.
or die.
And that's really kind of what we've seen the transition. And that's what I think, if you're a successful residential realtor, you have the chance because you understand the service side of
Yeah.
it. But what I tell realtors at our office, if you suck at residential and you don't know how to service your clients, you're not going to hack it when you go to commercial.
Yep.
So you have to learn that service side, how to really address what your client needs and really take care of the problem. And if you don't have the answer to a question, go find out the answer. Don't be afraid of what you don't know.
That's right.
And that's really the success of crossing over, is when you understand the service and you can provide that to your client. So what I wanted to also ask you guys, if you can give 3 tips for an agent that's wanting to get into commercial, that's making that transition from residential to commercial, what 3 tips would you give them? You can start off.
You can start with me. You can put me on the spot now, right?
Yes.
Number 1 is relationships. So for a long time, I built relationships during my commercial brokerage career. Got in commercial construction and development, maintained that. Then for other circumstances, I let a lot of those relationships go. And once you let a relationship go, the rest of them fall behind you, right? So I think it's paramount, and it's almost number 1 is to maintain your relationships, because once that relationship falls apart or goes away, you don't know how hard it is to try and build up another one, right? That's 10, 20, 30 years of a relationship gone. How are you going to build that again? So whoever you meet along the way, the relationships you made along the way, make sure you maintain those relationships, because you never, ever know when you're going to need that person.
Yeah.
Right. So that's number 1 for me. Number 2 is to open your eyes. Just don't think there's one way of doing business, because there's not anymore. Back in the day, we were all specific and experts on. I'm a residential real estate person, and I focus on South Pasadena between $500,000 and $700,000 homes.
Yeah, area specialist.
Right. Well, because of the internet and the flow of information, you could be making money everywhere. So open your eyes and start learning and start adapting and start connecting with people. So those are big ones for me.
Yeah, I mean, he hit it right on the head. Number 1, as a company, we preach relationships. Every single one of your relationships, they'll be your relationships in 20 years if you know how to build a relationship. Every one of our deals, our clients are our friends, and after the deal. Number 2 is you got to be out there in front. You have to be out there in front of people. Your message has to be very precise, and you've got to be out there daily, at least in the commercial arena of what we deal with. And I call it guerrilla marketing. So if you're in your community, you have to be in control of your local market from a lending perspective, before you start trying to get into other markets. And so you've got to be out there. Very, very important. And educate yourself. In our field, I mean, we don't know it all. It's changing before our eyes. This we call SOPs, right? The standard operating procedures that are put out by the SBA. They're not supposed to change as frequently as they do, but they have been. And you need to educate yourself on the loans that are available out there, so that you can properly represent your client from a realtor perspective, from a real estate perspective. And I could always add another one: the group, your circle that you put, the circle that we're creating here amongst us, right? We're taking it to a whole nother level of what we're doing. And that's very important. Your inner circle is very, very important in what we do today.
There's no doubt there's going to be a handful of deals between the 4 of us in the next couple of years alone.
Absolutely.
And imagine 5, 10, 15 years down the road, there's going to be a lot.
Yep.
Willy, tips.
Man, I think you guys nailed it.
Nah.
Come on.
You guys nailed it. But what can I add to that is market yourself.
Oh, yeah.
If you are
You're good
a
at
residential realtor,
You're good.
don't worry about not knowing everything.
That's right.
Right? I got started not too long ago. We have a handful of deals working already. Just get started. Get started. Don't worry about dropping the ball. Here's the thing. You are not going to drop the ball if you align yourself with the right people.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Okay? Don't be a secret agent. Some people, man, they want to know everything before they get started. 3, 4, 5, 6 years later, man, I'm still doing research. I heard this new guideline came out, Right? Like, I know a ton of people. We all know someone that's super smart. Like, they're like, man, you're a genius, bro, but you don't market yourself. So how are you going to make some money? So get started, align yourself with the right people, and start talking to people about what you do.
Position yourself.
Tell us about your social media, though. I don't want to jump out because you have no problem. You're leaving the gym, sweaty, a wreck, and your message is always on point. It's always like you feel it.
Yeah, you know what? Funny, someone messaged me yesterday. Willy, why do you seem so confident on social media? Okay, and I was like, I'll be honest with you, I'm insecure just like everyone else. Yeah. I got bullshit, in my head and all that. But why did I start doing social media roughly about 8 years ago? Is because I'm a big introvert. Huge introvert. Like, if I wouldn't know you guys, like, let's say we're at the bus stop, right? Whatever, we're 15 years old. I would not be talking to you guys. I'll be like this, like, fuck, like, this is fucking weird. This guy's too close to me. I'm a big introvert. So I just decided that I was tired 7-8 years ago of going to events. I didn't know anyone. And as a lender, man, dude, like, you get rejected left and right because you got to be shaking hands. Man, I'm going to close quick. Man, I'm going to call your clients. Like, you have to have that perfect elevator pitch. And I was like, how about I start branding myself a little bit more? I don't know when it kind of made sense. How about I start branding myself a little bit more? So when I go to events, it's like, hey, what's up, bro? Hey, what's up? Hey, we should connect. Yeah. It's like way easier now. So I think that's why marketing ourselves, it's so important, because when we see that person that we've been connecting through social media, it's like we already know them. It's like we're family.
Yeah. Well, I don't even have a product to sell, and I market myself because I just feel like if I don't market myself, sooner or later it's going to be a problem. So even if I don't have anything to sell or a product or a service, I still market myself regardless.
Yeah, and I think even that's how I met you. It's funny because I was talking to Carlos and I said, hey, I saw this guy Willy on social media. We should do business with him. And then literally that week he shows up at our office because he was meeting with some other agents at our office. And I'm like, what are the odds? Yeah. So it was just a matter of starting that connection.
The connector.
Yeah.
So cool.
The great connector. And then when I met Willy, he knew his guys had come and they showed up at one of our events, and I was like, hey, I don't know who you guys report to, but talk to them about adding commercial real estate finance to what you're doing. Yeah. Next thing you know, he comes to my building, and he goes, I think I've been in this building before. Mm-hmm. And like 6 months ago, somebody who he knew was in that office. He left, and we turned that office into a conference room, and there we are meeting there.
Crazy.
Small world.
I know. By the way, shout out to Bojo and Dylan. Bojo just had his baby. Congratulations, brother.
Oh, he did.
Awesome. Yeah, he did. Yeah. He's at the hospital, right?
Yeah, you've got all your people, man. You just, all your people are like on point.
Yeah.
Tell us, like, just, if you can, briefly.
I think this is important. So,
agree.
Years ago, I was letting anyone into my office. Mm-hmm. Right, because it's dollar signs, and man, we have bills. Man, I want to hire that top producer. But after working with, you could say, people that weren't aligned with who I was. That's right. I call them wrong people sometimes, but no, we're just not aligned. Yeah. You know what I mean? I told my wife this one time when we were like super, super broke. We were on government assistance. It was like we were like broke as shit. I told my wife this: when I get back on my feet, I'm only going to do business with people that I'm aligned with. And I have not broken that rule in about 12 years. Nice. So every single person, whether they are a loan officer, whether they are going to be, in an assisting position, whatever it is, they go through 3 different interviews. One is with me, one my wife, one my daughter. Mm-hmm. And if I still have a little bit of doubts, I have them work for half a day. Hey, come in and work for half a day. I'll pay you. I want you to meet the team because I want the team's approval too. Wow. So that's why, like, if you guys ever go to my office, you guys all have, there's a vibe that you get. It's like, it feels good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times having that right team, because having the wrong person in there can just disturb the whole environment, and they can be an energy suck for the whole team, and it can actually drop your production. Mm-hmm. So having everyone on the same page is really, really key.
Oh man, that's huge, bro. That's huge.
And I think a lot of times, what I think I'm gathering from all of you guys, I think that we shouldn't allow the fear of rejection to stop us from going out for other opportunities. Mm-hmm. And you may get some no's, but it's those yeses that make it all worthwhile. And you won't know until you put yourself out there.
Yeah, I love the no's. I love the no's. It's going to teach me what I need to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
You know,
But I want to thank you guys for being a part of the podcast
awesome,
and
brother.
being on
Thank you
this
so much.
episode.
we appreciate the relationship.
Make sure you follow these guys on social media. They're doing big things.
Yeah.
And stay tuned for our next event that's going to be coming up very soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you
tuned.
for everything.
That'd be fun.
Appreciate you guys.